Hey everyone, welcome to Goat's Rec Room. This episode is for March 11th, 2022, and here's how the show works. I currently have 4 picks for you, 4 recommendations for movies to check out. I'm going to give you 1 for theaters, 1 for home video new releases, 1 for streaming, and a classic film as well. So let's just jump right in and share the first pick that I have. Currently in theaters right now, something I just saw a couple of nights ago. It's the movie everyone's talking about, currently playing in theaters, and that is Matt Reeves' The Batman. Now, it would be hard for me to pick any other kind of movie, and trust me when I say, I talked about Spider-Man last week. I understand. I've been saying a lot of superhero movies, but roll with me on this one. This is a unique take. I went into this film as a Matt Reeves fan. Not as a Batman fan, but specifically looking for Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson and what they would bring to this film. And this is an epic story, a grand retelling of the Batman mythos through a new set of eyes that doesn't negate what came before, but it seeks to strive its own ground. It seems like the best elements from the Nolan realism and the Tim Burton insanity melded into one. Pattinson plays the character of Bruce Wayne, more so Batman than anything else, as someone looking to die, someone looking to not exist anymore, not have to deal with the pain of his life and what has come from it. He plays an unhinged version of Batman, one who's not really looking for hope, but who merely just wants to pass the time with vengeance and payback for all the people who wronged him. At the same time, you've also got a really unique take on Catwoman with Zoe Kravitz in the role. I'm a fan of Zoe Kravitz. I think this role is a pretty solid one for her as well. I don't know if it's better than the Michelle Pfeiffer one of my youth, but it's pretty great as well. We also have a near unrecognizable Colin Farrell as the Penguin. This is something where I told my wife about halfway through the movie, I can't believe it's Colin Farrell under there. And she said, wait, him? Who? And she actually had me say, what movie is Colin Farrell in? Am I thinking of the wrong Colin Farrell? He's fantastic as the Penguin. We also get a Zodiac-inspired The Riddler, played by Paul Dano. Everyone is playing at their best here. James Gordon, Lieutenant Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, was another fantastically cast member. It's a great cast. There's a couple of things here and there that nitpicks more than anything, but this film is one of my favorites of the year. Currently my favorite film of 2022, and it is Matt Reeves' film The Batman. So check it out. It is a dark, almost horror at times film that really takes you some places, and it's also a very exciting detective story, something we haven't had from Batman very often in recent cinematic outings. So check it out. Matt Reeves' The Batman. Now, something brand new to home video over the last couple days. It might have been last week. I think it dropped on home video. It's one of my favorite films from last year. And it's one of the Best Picture nominees that up until now you couldn't really find a home video copy for. But it's currently out, and that's Kenneth Branagh's Belfast. I was a huge fan of Belfast. I didn't know what to think much about it. When it first came out, Branagh and I have a very love-hate thing where it's I don't ever really dislike hate his movies as much as just wow, that's what you did. Okay, some of them work really well, like Belfast, like Thor, like his recent Hercule Poirot films, and then you get films like Artemis Fowl, you get films like Jack Reacher, Shadow Recruit, ones that just didn't hit it. But this is his most personal film in Belfast. It's a black and white film told through the eyes of a young boy that is very Branagh-esque, if you will, as he experiences leaving Belfast during the turmoil and crime and riots and unrest that was going on there currently. It's a beautiful coming-of-age tale. It tackles really beefy, difficult subjects, but it does them through the eyes of a child, so that way you get a little bit more of a... It's a lot more of a feel-good movie for one that dabbles in some tough material, I guess. And it's also got one of the best casts. I mentioned that with the Batman as well. This is one of the best casts you can probably get for a movie like this. Jamie Dornan plays his father. Katrina Balfe plays his mother. You get grandparents played by Ciarán Hinds and Dame Judi Dench. A really fantastic 5-person group of actors for this film that really transcend and kind of just, they carry you along in the story in some really tender moments, some really intelligent and fun and stressful moments too, that really kind of are evocative of any family, not just one deciding whether or not to leave Belfast decades ago. This is actually a film that felt like a lot more to me about my own family. Even though I didn't experience any of the things that this family has dealt with, I felt myself connecting to them and that coming-of-age tale. So check it out. Brand new on Blu-ray and DVD, Belfast. Now, if you're looking for a streaming option right now, the most recent streaming film that I caught was the Netflix original film by the name of The Harder They Fall. This was directed by James Samuel, and it is a largely African American cast Western. And the Western genre is not one that has celebrated black stories very much. I struggle to think of a really well cast Western that features mostly black performers. But this one right here is a brilliant Western from last year, very entertaining one that follows outlaw Nat Love, who I believe is played by, let me make sure I got, Jonathan Majors. That's right, Jonathan Majors from Defy Bloods, my pick from last week. And he is out for vengeance for the man that killed his family. And it is again, very well cast. Maybe that's the theme of a lot of this. It's a very well put together cast with Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King. Just there's so many people in this movie that don't even have like the large scale roles, but because the film runs 2 hours and 20 minutes, they're each given some time to shine. There's some incredible gunfights, there's some really great tense moments, and a lot of stylistic choices that are evocative of spaghetti westerns while kind of forging their own path stylistically. James Samuel, I don't think he's directed anything else that I'm aware of. He did another kind of western that I think was a short, but this is an intelligent, captivating thrill ride available on Netflix now. So if you haven't gotten the chance, check out The Harder They Fall from director James Samuel. That was a last year release. All right, celebrating its 40-year anniversary this year is a horror film, one that I watched recently, and one you can check out my full review on Kyle and Nick on Film. We covered it for one of our Scary Movie Saturdays, and that is 1982's film from director John Carpenter, The Thing. The Thing is what I would consider to be a perfect movie. I don't think there's a single thing in The Thing that I would change. And coming off of 40 years since the film was released, it's one that did not have the love that it got, that it has now. Back when it came out, it bombed. It wasn't performing very well. There was a lot of people that couldn't handle some of the more grotesqueries of the physical transformations The Thing makes. But I think it's a fantastic cast. Kurt Russell in the lead performance. He works very well with John Carpenter. You also get a pretty well diverse group of men. It is an all-male cast with the exception of Adrienne Barbeau, who voices the computer. But it is a largely male cast story about scientists in Antarctica coming across something that's not human. What's funny is that the film is actually completely spoiled in the first 5 minutes if you speak the language of our Norwegian pilots that are going on, because they're just basically shouting in their own language what's going on in the movie. So a lot of people who understood that language kind of knew exactly where the film was going. But it's one that I think the effects stand the test of time. If you compare it to the prequel to The Thing that came out in 2011, they filmed that movie with practical effects, then CG'd over it. And that movie looks easily decades older than 1982's The Thing, which still feels very fresh. Rob Bottin did the special effects for it. He fought to have transformations and grotesqueries and showcase The Thing as opposed to keeping it in the shadows, which is kind of one of the ways that it was originally thought to go. Keith David is also in the film. He's a fantastic character actor who has been doing work for decades now, but he's very good as Childs. Wilford Brimley is in it as well. There's a lot of people in the film, and in fact, if you're going to the Crypticon, if you're in the Minneapolis area, a number of announcements actually were just made that The Thing, a couple of actors from The Thing, like Richard Mazer, will be going to Crypticon this year. So I'm excited about that. The film is 40 years old. It's one of my favorite John Carpenter films. Not my personal favorite of all of them, but it is one of the best ones by far, and I can't fight it. So check out The Thing, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary in 2022. Film from 1982, and one that's definitely worth checking out. So there you have it, folks. Those are my 4 picks. Let's go down them once more again for you. We have in theaters currently Matt Reeves' The Batman. Currently on home video with a new Blu-ray release, Belfast. You can check out over on Netflix, you can check out the original film, The Harder They Fall, from director James Samuel. And you can also check out the 40th anniversary of the film The Thing from director John Carpenter, 1982's The Thing. Check that one as well. It's a classic that if you haven't seen, it is well worth diving into. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Let me know those films, which ones you've seen, which ones you enjoyed. Are you going to check out new ones we mentioned before? Drop down in the comments section. I'd love to interact with you down there. And while you're there as well, consider liking and subscribing the video. There are 2 free things that you can do that can help support my channel, and they can also make sure that you never miss a new episode of the shows that drop here. You can also check out goatfilmreviews.com, where I've got my over 1,000 film reviews currently available, stockpiled, and ready to be read. And you can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook by checking that out. You can also find me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter and Instagram, as well as Letterboxd, where you can check out the films that I'm watching and provide me with some of your own personal choices and picks. over there on Letterboxd. Thank you guys for joining me so much. You can also find Kyle and Nick on Film down in the description. That's the show that I host with Nick Plotchuk from the St. Paul Filmcast, where we talk the various movies that we like to talk about, deep dives into the cinema of today and the cinema of yesterday. So check that out below. The links are all down in the description right down there. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week.